This is Channel 4, KNBC, Los Angeles.
At 9 minutes before 7 o'clock tonight, the scoreboard in Houston's Astrodome flashed a score. Cincinnati had lost. The Dodgers had finally won the title in the National League West. The Dodgers game with the Astros was far from over, but it was stopped while the Dodgers players and staff took turns slapping each other on the back. Why not? The season is 162 games long. The congratulations had to wait until the middle of game 161. Good evening once again, everybody. That was long-awaited news for the Dodger faithful. It finally came tonight. And lest we steal Ross Porter's thunder, here with the happy details is Mr. Porter. Ross?
Paul, although they had taken the division lead for good on April the 14th, it had been a long, tense summer for the Dodgers. Their largest margin was 11 games on the afternoon of July the 10th, and that advantage was chopped to 1.5 games on September the 14th. But 8 years of frustration ended tonight when Cincinnati lost to Atlanta 8-1. An hour and 40 minutes later, the Dodgers wrapped up a meaningless 8-5 victory in Houston, and it was time to celebrate. A group of players who had remained subdued throughout the season, as serene in victory as in defeat, finally could let loose. And in a locker room at the Astrodome in Texas, they did. After 101 wins in 161 games, the Dodgers had clinched the flag on the next to last day of the season. Their manager, whose last winner had come in 1966, praised his squad.
I'm proud of this club for several reasons. First of all, we wanted it, and then we've been in a lot of tight places, you know, during the season where we had to win some games. We beat Cincinnati when we had to, and although we postponed it a little longer than I would like to have, I'm still very satisfied and very happy.
Jerry Doggett wasn't crying. He couldn't get the champagne out of his eyes. The Dodgers now open the best-of-5 playoff series Saturday in either Pittsburgh or St. Louis. The Pirates are 1 game ahead of the Cardinals in the Eastern Division with 1 to play. Pittsburgh rallied to win tonight while St. Louis squandered a lead and lost. Baltimore also wrapped up the American League East later this evening, and we'll have all the details later as one of baseball's most exciting seasons enters its final days.
This is the KNBC News Service with Paul Moyer and Ross Porter. Kelly Lang, she's on vacation this week. Here again, Paul Moyer.
Mayor Tom Bradley has spent most of the past 2 days up in Sacramento looking for legislative help in ending the Marathon RTD, the bus strike here in Southern California. Tomorrow will likely be the key day in Bradley's campaign for that. There's going to be a hearing on a bill forcing binding arbitration in that dispute, and there is talk of a legislative 60-day cooling-off period. In either case, the buses would begin rolling quickly. That is exactly what Mayor Bradley wants.
All of it's, I think, a takeoff on the idea of some kind of binding arbitration or a bill that would require workers to go back on the job immediately with some kind of assurance to them that they're going to get a fair deal at the end of the negotiations or arbitration or whatever process is used.
Is there any thought at this time of a cooling off period, Mayor?
Yes, we've talked about that.
What are the possibilities?
I don't know. That's a matter that we've talked about, and whether that alternative is suggested and agreed upon by the committee or the legislature, something will be determined tomorrow.
With that, Mayor Bradley went off for more talks on the bus strike. Meantime, many other big city mayors were at the White House today talking about rapid transit. NBC's John Cochran has the story.
The 22 mayors emerged from their meeting with President Ford confident they have his support for a long-range mass transit bill. But he refused to give his support for an emergency measure to bail city transit systems out of their immediate financial problems.
All the mayors, the Conference of Mayors, have gone on record as being for a comprehensive long-range bill. We want it. We were told by the Senate people that we couldn't get it. And President Ford thinks we can get it, and he has agreed and suggested, rather, that we get this group together, including the membership from the U.S. Conference of Mayors, to find out once and for all what can be obtained. We need help now.
You were satisfied with the tenor of the meeting in there, Mr. Mayor?
Well, we're satisfied that everyone recognized the necessity for some help to mass transportation and to do it as quickly as we can.
Back in Sacramento, both houses of the legislature here in California passed bills tonight repealing controversial early pensions for lame duck lawmakers. Those proposals must now be reconciled before a final measure is sent to the desk of Governor Reagan, whose own pension would be cut almost in half by the version in the Assembly. Earlier, the Assembly overrode 5 of Reagan's vetoes, including the governor's veto of a bill to create the home loan program for low and middle income Californians. The governor himself came back to California tonight after a speaking tour of the eastern United States. Apparently, he did not want to stop and talk to reporters because he ducked out of the back door at Los Angeles International Airport right after he got off the plane.